Namaste, Jai Bharat. The South Indian politics, especially Tamil Nadu politics, tried for a long time to create a separate existential identity, and they used the concept of Dravidian concept. Actually, Dravidian concept is a geographical identical concept. It stands for a geographical identity. Dravid, as it is said in the national anthem, stands for an area, not a race. So, but then they used Dravid as a race, which is a mistake to begin with. The first postulate is wrong. So from the Dravidian politics, they had the political parties of DMK, then AIDMK, etc. The different versions of DMK came into existence. Fundamentally, they tried to come in power. They tried to politicize the local feelings, magnified. And the Tamilians have a lot of reasons to speak there, to claim that their sentiments could be inflamed so easily, because Tamil actually is the oldest living language in the world, but that doesn't mean it's an oldest language. So they make a distinction between the Hindi speaking belt and the Tamil speaking belt, and the other South Indians they think are included, but they are not. So they make this distinction, then say the Hindi is dominating us, and all kinds of sentiments can work out in Tamil Nadu and had been working out in Tamil Nadu for a long time. Though they say Dakshin Bharata Hindi Prachar Sabha was working hard, and that makes a lot of buffer and soft cushioning effect to this movement, but nonetheless the movement still goes on. It's because it's political reason. With this background, there happened to be an excavation some 12 kilometers away from Madurai, and Madurai is famous for what we know today as a Meenakshi temple, but actually is a Shiva temple. And roughly around 12th, 13th century, the Devi, the Shakti Puja was more prominent, and Shiva temples are always associated with Mother Shakti temples. So importance gets shifted to the Mother. That makes no difference to anyone. We would either worship Mother or Shankar Bhavan. It's all the same for us. So this focus shifting happened, and that doesn't make any serious difference at all. So it's called as Meenakshi temple. So Meenakshi is important. From that area, it's around 12 kilometers away. That's what I understand from some narratives. And a site is excavated, Keezhadi cycle. Keezhadi or Keezhadi, that's how I don't really know the right pronunciation, but nonetheless, they write it as Keezhadi, but should be pronounced as Keezhadi if I am not wrong. So that is a site which is something like Dholavira, not really so big as Dholavira, or like Lothal, or Kalibagan, or something like Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, because Harappa is the first excavated site, and this is now politicized. Keezhadi is now politicized. This happened about less than 10 years ago, and some people who excavated wanted to project it as a Tamil settlement. That's where I differ. A Tamil settlement, whereas, and they still speak of the Aryan invasion. They speak about the Indus Valley. These two things are fundamentally wrong. First of all, Aryan invasion is a myth, because the Aryan concept, the Aryan term is first found in the Rig Veda itself, and you just can't deny the Vedic background of everything that's happening in Bharat. If you're just little sensitive, and if you're able to perceive things, you understand the whole Jambudvipa, I would say, the whole Jambudvipa, and and Dakshina Khanda, Bharatavarsha, Dakshina Khanda, Aryavarta, whatever we call, have this Vedic background. Everything is in the Vedic stage setting. You just can't deny it. And now don't equate the Vedic knowledge tradition or Vedic civilization with the North Indian or the South Indians or the East Indians or West Indians or the Brahmins. No, that's why many people attack Brahmins Vedas, because they wanted to attack the Brahmins. This is intricate petty politics involved. So Keezhadi is whether it's established civilization settlement. There is no doubt about the antiquity of Keezhadi. Someone says 6000 BC, someone says 8000 BC. Let them even say 10,000 BC, but still it doesn't predate Saraswati river. It doesn't predate Saraswati river. The archaeologists who were excavating the Harappa, which happened to be the first excavated site, they called it as they called it as Indus Valley because the Harappa is at the side of river Sindhu, which in Greek is called as Indus, so the name gets carried to English and Indus. So they just named it Indus Valley because they did not know. But one thing perplexed the archaeologists even then, that all the settlements they found, Harappa they found, then they find Mohenjo-daro, etc. All the settlements they found were to the south of river Sindhu, not to the north of river Sindhu. This is unlikely in archaeology. Normally, if you talk about a civilization, it should be on either side of the rivers. And this perplexed the archaeologists. Why only to the south of Sindhu, not to the north of Sindhu? Should have been there. Then much later, other excavations only understood the existence of river Saraswati, which we called as Gupta Saraswati. Saraswati dried up by them. And the civilization destruction, they did not get destroyed, but they moved out of that area. It has taken place because of Saraswati getting dried up. And the Vedas talk about river Saraswati. We understand today that Vedas and then subsequently Upanishads, they came into existence on the Saraswati valley, left, right. To the south, of course, they could only excavate up to the river Tapi, that is bordering Maharashtra and Gujarat, and north is Sindhu. But it would definitely extend to south because we have connected to Jambudvipa. Jambudvipa is far beyond Kanyakumari. So it's not only natural, there will be sites, but which are not yet excavated at that time. This Michel Dan, the French gentleman who would become an Indian, has written that wonderful book, The Lost River, on the trail of river Saraswati. But that time when Michel was writing, the book was published in 2010, I suppose, yes, 2010. When Michel was writing that book, this South Indian aspect was not known to him, so he settled the score with the river Tapi because with available data. And that's about, he was speaking about 3,700 settlements in 3 stages. The Vedic settlement is not in 1 stages. Early Vedic settlement, middle, and then later, etc. So this Keezhadi could be later Vedic settlement, like Lothal. Lothal is about 35 kilometers, 40 kilometers away from where I live. And then Dholavira, of course, is much ancient. So this antiquity, of course, archaeologists would settle. There is no confusion about it. It's only that one should remember. So Keezhadi, the problem is that many people in the south wanted to distance Keezhadi from the mainstream civilization. They should be one among the Vedic settlements. You should understand, Keezhadi is one among the many Vedic settlements. 3,700 in 3 stages. When they say, it should mean something like 2,500 physical settlements. So much of Vedic sites are there, and they have strange relations to one another. The bricks or the size of the bricks is same everywhere. The citadel pattern is same everywhere. The structure of the settlement, township is the same everywhere. So it's repeating. It's repeating from one to other. Now listen, language must have been different. In every settlement, they must have used different languages. There must have been a connecting language with the evolution of Sanskrit. And people should not misunderstand that Sanskrit was used as mother tongue for people. Sanskrit was used as a scholarly language. Sanskrit is a synthetically created language where the other existing language of that time, like Pali, Prakrit, or even Tamil, could have contributed to the evolution of Sanskrit language. Which is created synthetically to suit the purpose of scholarship. Minimum words can carry maximum meaning. And look at the grammar of Sanskrit, and which is a complete kind of grammar. And one small thing should strike your mind when you said there are no abusive words in Sanskrit. Why? In every other language there are vulgar words, abusive words. Why not in Sanskrit? Is it not very evident that Sanskrit is not used in the streets? Sanskrit is not used as mother tongue. People must have used Sanskrit to converse even at houses. Like many of us will converse in English in our houses to encourage our children to understand their language. But that's not the mother tongue. So Sanskrit is not used as mother tongue to anyone. That was a language for the scholars. And the most rough expression in Sanskrit is Kashmala, or sometimes Kushmata based. Beyond that, there are no vulgar languages. Don't you think that that's evident enough to understand it's not used as mother tongue? It is used as a scholarship purpose of scholars. Shankaracharya, at the age of 8, had travelled from Kerala to Omkareshwar looking for a guru, and meets Govinda Bhagavatpada and talks to him, asking him to make me your student, sir. And Govinda Bhagavatpada asks him, who are you? And then he answers, Manobuddhi ahankara chittani naham nachakshishtrode na krana netre. Then he says, Chidananda rupa shivaham shivaham. Which language they converse in Bharat? Sanskrit. So that's a language of scholars. Your learning is in Sanskrit. You're conversing with scholars in Sanskrit, but nonetheless, you wouldn't use it as a straight language. Not necessary. Every area had their own language. Similarly, all these settlements, 2,500 places, 3,700 in time, early, middle, late, they must have their own mother tongue. That doesn't mean that Sanskrit was not prevalent. That's the point. So Keezhadi, the separatist, thoughtful scholars, even if they are scholars, they're archaeologists, mostly not philosophers. They should have been taught philosophy. They should have read. People after an age should read philosophy by themselves, because you can't teach philosophy to everybody. If they had understood philosophy, then they would not make this mistake of saying that we are different and this is exclusively Tamil civilization, which is a gross mistake. You can't call it as exclusive Tamil civilization. It's very much a part of the Vedic Dharma, Vedic civilization, Sanatana Dharma civilization. I would like to call it that way. If you don't want to call it as Vedic civilization, don't call. You can call it a Saraswati civilization. And some people will object that there's a Saraswati denotaxis. Their problem. These things have been established. That somebody would still like to talk about Aryans, their mistake. Passion doesn't amount to reason, because the concept of Aryan is a honorific concept or a connotative concept, logically speaking. It's a quality concept. You with given qualities are called as area or an area, whatever it is. They are not a racial concept like the concept which they use as Dravid as a racial concept. They are not racial concept. Dravid is a geographical concept which stands for anyone coming from that area, and Aryan is a quality concept which stands for a person with given qualities as Arya and Arya whatever. Similarly, as we have in the Varnashrama Dharma, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, they are all quality concepts. However, people understand it as, in a distortive sense, as caste. They are not castes. But for common sense, it's common sense for people to understand. So, this Keezhadi claim as a Tamil civilization is wrong. It doesn't mean that there's no contribution of Tamil to Vedic civilization. There is. And why do you close your eyes to your own ancestry of coexisting and contributing with the Veda-Upanishadic knowledge tradition? It has been done. Sayanacharya is from south. Vijayanagara is from south. Shankaracharya is from south. Madhava is from south. Ramanujacharya is from Tamil Nadu. Precisely. At which point the Tamilian wants to diverge from or divert from the Bharatiya Sanskriti. Tamil is already an integral part of Bharatiya Sanskriti. Yours, Tamil, is the oldest living language. That's a credit to the entire Bharat. See, the relationship is always one that of contributing and receiving. Everybody contributed and everybody received from the mainstream Sanskriti of Bharat. And ultimately it reaches the Veda-Upanishadic knowledge tradition as it begins with the Veda-Upanishadic knowledge tradition. There may still be plenty of sites in the south. There may still be plenty of Vedic sites immersed in the sea in in the Indian Ocean. Kumarikandam, what we speak of, a place between Australia and Bharat. Lemuria, as the European called because of the lemur. There must still be plenty of sites there. Now, don't make such narrow statements which would destroy a perspective, narrow one's perspective. Tamils are great Indians. There's a person known as Subramanya Bharati. Why did he keep his name as Bharati? It means something. It means something. Separatism is negative, and negative has its own strength. That will destroy the originality of existence. The Vedapanishadic epistemology is one that of existence, coexistence of the multiple and plural. Look at the last sukta of Rigveda, Sangachatvam Sambhadattam, it speaks. Multiples and plural coexist. No, the Veda will ask you to be together. How one mind, how one resolve. That's what they say. To whom the Rigveda is saying this when it concludes, that the last sukta of the last mandala, 10th mandala, it's asking you to be united. It means they have known, recognized the multiplicity and plurality of nature, and nature as multiple and plural, and multiplicity and plural becomes the nature of nature. This has been understood long back. Why do you want to cut short yourselves to the knowledge? Why do you want to reduce themselves to a reductionism for political advantage and reasons? Don't do that. Keezhadi is very much a Vedic site as I understand. However, anyone tries to say it's not going to stand. It's an established fact that this settlement is great, ancient, 10,000 years, 10,000 years. But then, even if you say it's more than 10,000 years, look at we can really not speak of the time of the Vedas. The time of river Saraswati should be, or the time when the Saraswati river was flowing with full might, should have been the real time of Vedas and Upanishads, and yoga must predate that. Manika Vasakar is one of your saints in Tamil Nadu. Great people came into existence from Tamil Nadu, and they contributed and they received. See, the point which I am trying to say, and I am concluding, no one is different in Bharat. Everyone has their own identity, distinct role, and they coexist with one another, which would make the Sanskara of Bharata or Sanskriti of Bharata. Let's not forget that. We shall meet again. Namaste. Jai Bharat, Jai Sri Ram.